Everybody, whoever on the other side of Facebook, a very good evening to all of you. My name is Tan Beng Luan. I'm the founder, principal teacher of Creative O Preschoolers Bay, and I'm also an ACDA fellow. And here tonight with me is teacher Gayatri, and she's my senior teacher, and she's also an associate with the NIEC. Um, we have to thank ASUS of making this special arrangement to give us the opportunity to share with you our book. This book, Learning with Children, Reflections of Preschool Teachers, uh, was actually written and published in 2014. We still left with 300 copies. And we would like to share with you about this book simply because this might still be the only book with over 300 pages written by teachers and for the teachers. I think as preschool educator, we really would like or think that it is about time for us teachers to share our concern, our practices, our voices with our fellow educators, whether in Singapore or overseas. And this book, those published in 2014, was supported by ACES. And let me very quickly show you the contents of the book. The books actually cover quite a wide range of the curriculum of Creative O and our practices. The one that boxed up in red are actually one of our core curriculum, which is the project-based approach. And since a couple of weeks ago, between two trees, Hui Hua and her partner had already shared their project practices. For this book sharing session, we decided not to touch on project, but we would like to share with you on some other uh, practices. And tonight, we are going to share with you the practice of home and preschool collaboration. First of all, let me very quickly share with you the background of Creative O. We started in 1998 as a preschool childcare center, and in 2014, we are under Creative O Education Foundation, which is a non-profit organization, because we strongly believe that education cannot be handled as a business. It has to be handled as an education by itself. It is in its true spirit. And Creative O, at the moment, we have 156 children, 19 teachers, and 11 supporting staff. Supporting staff, I'm referring to the cook, the classroom assistants, admin support, etc. And we are also working very closely with 4 part-time arts teachers coming from the arts community. Arts community in our areas of work, which includes uh, drama, uh, creative movement, visual art, and floor exercise. And our school is an open concept school because we embrace open education as our philosophy. And practicing open education, we very much need our teacher, not as an instructor, but taking the role as a facilitator, a motivator, uh, co-workers with the children, and so on. So our pedagogy very much rooted in the project approach, exploratory, and we are looking at a project and exploratory theme for different age group. So it is not a curriculum that have one size to fit all. And we are also thinking that the project and theme are still very much a collective learning kind of a curriculum. Therefore, we are also emphasizing very much on individual learning, which is in the corner play. And therefore, the pedagogy is very much, uh, a process oriented, exploratory oriented. And we are a bilingual school, mainly working on English and Chinese as our two main languages. The areas of work with the children include all these listed on the PowerPoint. And like I just mentioned, different age group, we are also working on a different curriculum to fit their development and growth. This is the external view of Creative O. We are very blessed with a big outdoor space. And this is the interior of the uh, class area. And the learning area are mainly divided by mobile or movable or easily movable furniture so that we can create our learning space in any way we like. The use of space has to be as flexible as possible. This is part of our practice of open education. So tonight's topic, home and preschool collaboration. We all believe that without the parent support, we may not be able to fully realize our belief in children's education. So as educator, we have to also work hard on how to bring the family along as partners to also equip parents with uh, good skill, effective skills, so that they can support children's growth and development, not only in school, but more importantly at home. And because of the pandemic that we are facing in 2020, so we would like to share a bit of our reflection on how we work with parents during this COVID situation. So let's get back to the main craft of the um, topics, which is based on an article written by my teachers, Hong Chiu Yun. Um, and she actually covered quite a wide range of issues concerning home preschool collaboration. But for tonight's sharing, only going to single out two subtopics. One is about parental skills, and the other one is understand and appreciate the school's curriculum. Now, if we look at how Creative O is trying to help the parents to gain uh, more parental skill, this could be in the area of helping parents to understand how you can exercise, maybe a home reading program. How do you coach the children on the habits of reading? And these are, to us, is important parental skill. And another example will be looking at maybe helping parents to understand the child's development and growth, whether the parents' expectations might be a little too high. Do the parents understand the different age group actually have a different learning pace, and so on? So this is just an example of the teachers organizing some activities which involve the interaction between child and family and or child and parents on a specific maybe topics. This one is actually about um, a children's learning about play, and what are the learning elements that the parent actually can tap on to enhance the child's learning at home. And of course, there are also other topics which the school will try to work with the parents. This could include managing a behavioral issue or creating a learning environment at home. So the teachers will share with parents some tips of the do's and don'ts. If you do this and that at home, how does it help the children to learn? How does it stimulate or motivate children to learn? And of course, other skill will be how do they communicate with children, especially the young children, um, or enhancing some values in the children. And the other subtopics that I would like to share is actually talking about understanding and appreciating the school curriculum. Now, why is it important? Is because we need parents to support the school. Now, very often, if the parents believe in some other aspects of learning, such as at the age of 3, they must know how many words, or at the age of 3 or 4, they must be able to start writing, and so on and so forth. So these might be the issues that at school you may not want to deal with this kind of parent uh, request. And then how do we go about doing it is to help the parents to understand the learning characters of the children. And then if the parents eventually uh, bought over your ideas, and then they will become your supporter to support your curriculum, to support your pedagogy. Yeah. So in this case, we have the parents come into the class to as one of the resource person to share with the class when they were doing a project on clothes, a cloth. They were doing a project on cloth. So we believe that we actually welcome parents to come to the class on a regular basis so that they can have a good views of the display of children's work. They will then understand what the teachers has been working with the children on a day-to-day basis. Instead of asking the children, what do you learn in school? They can see for themselves, and there are plenty of evidence that display in the class area. So other activities such as how to help the parents understand and appreciate the curriculum. This could actually include maybe something about pedagogy. It is easy to say learn through play, but exactly what do we mean learn through play, and what kind of learning are there hidden under this thing called play? And we often talk about the process is more important than the end product. Again, what do we mean? And for that matters, the school, Creative O, and the teachers will often think about how can we organize certain activities. It can be a workshop, it can be a talk, it can be a hands-on experience to help the parents to understand the meaning of process is more important than the end products. And other areas of involving parents into understanding and appreciating curriculum could be welcoming them to participate in the project closure. The project closure means that when the children have studied a project or explore a project for a couple of months, and then they may want to conclude their discovery, and the children may suggest that this is what I'm going to share with my parents, and this is where the parents will come into the class and then participate in whatever activities that the children plan for the parents. So we often find this is a very effective way of helping parents to understand and appreciate our curriculum and pedagogy. So by doing so, we are able to see the parent support growing. I often say parents is the best trumpet that we have to go around and share their observation with other parents. Now, we are all facing the challenge just this year because of the pandemic. So now I would like to get Gayatri, our senior teacher, to come and share with you the new challenges that affecting her to view her working relationship with the parents, as well as doing some reflections, and we hope to draw some response or feedback from the participants tonight. Okay, so Gayatri, all yours now.
Yeah, all right. Can you hear me, Mister?
Yes, yes.
Okay, so as Mr. was talking about, inviting parents to the school and especially for project closure, I really miss all those because it really makes a difference in children's learning and how parents could actually understand what is going on in the class. So I really miss all those things. And now that we are in our new normal, we just have to learn to adjust. So let me share with you something that happened during the circuit breakers. As you know that we all were at home for 2 months, so were the kids, so were the parents. And as teachers, we always want the kids to continue to learn. So, circuit breaker doesn't mean that they just stay at home and, they're not learning. So we are afraid that whatever that we have, done for the kids for the last few months, all that will be gone. So, they could have forgotten all the things that they have learned. They might have forgotten the values and the skills that teachers spend so much time shaping on it. So in order to have that kind of things that carry on, you don't put a stop, but you make sure that they are learning something. So the teachers in our creative all decided to actually continue to give activities to the kids through online learning. So many of us, have it's a weekly program. We send, stories. We have art activities. We have music. We have physical activities for the kids, which is done weekly. And after 2 months of doing it, uh, we all have a certain reflection on it, and we all agree that it's such a remote learning process for the kids. What do I mean by remote learning? There is so little connection with other kids. And if you believe that children learn from each other, having an e-learning at home doesn't actually shape that kind of learning. I mean, if you think about Vygotsky theory, talking about how children could learn from each other, and that is so much powerful, right? I mean, all of us can actually recognize that when we have kids learning from each other. And now that is continuous stop. So the only way the kids are learning is from their parents, right? So that is why the second point, it says that it's so heavily dependent on parents. So parents have to be there to give that necessary guidance. So every week the parents will be the one to print out the lesson, carry them out, and that could be very stressful for parents because firstly, for my class at least, they don't have, many of the parents are Chinese speakers, and that is their main language. And some of them actually struggle to actually understand the instruction in English. And the sad thing was to say that most of these parents who are involved are the moms, so the mom could be the one doing the activities, and this mom could be someone that is not really competent in English, right? So they struggle, and in long term that could be a lot of stress on the parents, and when the parents are so stressed they actually put it on their kids. So I could say at the beginning of the e-learning, you see parents so motivated, but over the period of time, you can see parents really getting very tired about it. The second thing we thought when we talk about resource, right? Some of the parents will not have the resource that we want them to have at home. So when we plan something, the question that we always have back our mind, do the parents have all these resources that we need? So our planning will be like, the first question is, do you think they have papers? Do you think they have crayons? Do you think they have scissors? All those things. So it does make a difference of the type of activities that you plan, because it really depends on that kind of material they might have, right? And the last point, of course, I talk about the stress. That is real stress. We have a lot of parents who shared that, I really can't sit next to my son or my daughter because I have to multitask. So the question is, the teacher spends so much of time preparing the e-learning, and the way the parents responded was, it is not something that they find it easy to do, or so it's another question that we always think, so is e-learning appropriate for very young children? And if it's not, then what are, how could we design a curriculum, or a program or an activities, and if you want that to be in a e-platform, how can it be done so that parents can engage the kids in a positive way? They don't get so much of stress. It is not remote learning. There's some kind of interaction from, with one child with another. So this is a good, a good reflection to think about. Yeah. So Ms. Tan, next screen.
Oh yeah, yeah. Give me a minute. I think it's hang. Hold on a second.
Yes.
Okay.
All right. So when the school reopens, right, we know that the first thing when the parents heard that school is reopened, and the next day all 19 came back to school, all 20 came back to school, right? So it was a time where, it was a moment where parents just want to send their kids back to school. And we definitely were very happy to see it, to receive them. But we know that the normal practice of our class is going to be, it's not going to be normal in any sense. So I would say it's a new normal. So what is normal practice in Creative O before the virus happened, and what is the new normal? So I'm just going to talk about it. And I believe many of you as teachers were able to identify, or who could have experienced the same thing as what we are experiencing in our school. Now, the normal practice is what Ms. Tan has shared, is an open door policy. Parents could actually really come into the class, right? Walking in the class, observe the children's work on the wall, or observe at how children play. So it really, the open door policy really help parents to understand the school pedagogy, right? What is the school curriculum all about? And they see it in action. and especially, how the role the child plays in the class. So if I talk about the classroom, it's not only a third eye to the teacher, but it's also the third eye in the environment for the parents, right? Because everything that you talk about in your learning report is there in the class. So the parents can surely see the connection, right? Now, the new normal is now in Creative O and in any other school is just put your child at the doorstep, right? So parents is just an observer, means I'm standing at the doorstep, and if I'm tall enough, I can peek into my class, in my child's class, right? So observer, so they're just standing there. So how do we then really share with parents what is happening in your class? It's really dependent on the teacher's sharing, meaning the teacher has to find time to go out and talk to the parents, to basically telling them, what the kids are doing in the class, what they discover, what is the new happening, and it's also dependent on the children's sharing. So you basically depend on the children to help you to do that connection for you, right? So the kids become a messengers, right? They kind of go out there and tell the parents what is happening. And and I know as teachers, kids are very bad in that. Because when parents ask, so what did you do today? What do you think the kids would say? I don't know. Most of the conversation that I hear, when I go out and I hear the child speaking to the parents, they will not say what they did in the class, but something that is so meaningful to them. It could be that so and so play with me, right? And if you want, and also is the way the parents talk to the child. So it dependent on the type of conversation the parents are having with the kids. And if you are a parent who's really interested and you know what to say and what to ask to get certain kind of response from the child, then it kind of like tell you, all right, this is what is happening in class. So if you look at the normal practice and the new normal is normal practice, parents go in, see what's happening. New practice is I'm just an observer. So as a parent, please, teacher, help me to make the connection. All right. Okay. The next slide, Miss Tan. Next slide. Yeah. So the other thing is the new practice again, parents in a classroom. I've already mentioned to you the importance of inviting parents in your classroom. Now, one thing I learned as a teacher over the years, parents, the way I could motivate parents to become a better parents is to invite them in my class. So if I have, like what Ms. Tan says, we invite parents to share about their expertise in certain topic. Now, when you invite parents to do that, you're indirectly building on their sense of motivation. I want to be a better mom, right? Because I see when I'm able to teach, I'm able to share certain topic, I realize that I get so much of positive response from the kids. So that makes parents a better parents. And if you are a better parents, then basically you will do the right thing for your kids, right? So, and that is only possible when the parents, feel good about themselves, that they can contribute to the child's learning. And the other thing is, we always struggle with some very quiet parents, right? We all have that in our school, where there are some parents who just do not want to be involved, right? And I realized that, when you in the new normal practice, you know, uh, some very inactive parents, they're always, when they see photograph of parents doing certain kind of, maybe sharing certain knowledge, right? These quiet parents always get inspired, right? Say, oh, maybe next time I will also want to do something like that. So, quiet parents or parents that who are not very active certainly get inspired by other parents when they are able to go into your class and be a very active participant. Now, the normal practice is no longer there because they can't come in. So what is our new normal practice that the K1, because I'm a K1 teacher or even a K2 teachers have been doing? We still believe there should be certain kind of partnership. Parents should be involved in some way. So we work within our limitation. So what can we do? Now, as you know that Creative O, Creative O actually have we conduct or we carry out a project approach curriculum, right? And one of the component in project approach is the field trip, which we can no longer go out. And that is one of the most important component of project, right? For those who are doing project, in your curriculum, you will know what I'm talking about. So now they can no longer do a field trip and we can no longer provide parents in. So we then we decide, okay, let's give them a take-home activity or home activity, right? Uh, so we identify a question in the project, and then we have to identify what area of investigation that the parents can do that is easy to do, that is around their community, right? So I'm not talking of, I'm not asking them to bring your kids to the bird park or bring your kids some faraway places, right? So we are thinking about, okay, let's get them, some kind of engagement with the kid, with the parents and the child. So we decided to actually get the parents to go for a field trip, which they can conduct like walking to know your neighborhood, basically going around your neighborhood. So how do we then prepare the parents to carry out their field trip? So parents will basically would need, systematic instruction. So that means I'm going to write it down, all the thing that, how you're going to carry out your field trip. So you have your objective, what you're supposed to do. And so we did that, and the parents, the child brought that home. Okay, we didn't actually send it in. Of course, we use the WhatsApp group where we actually send the activities on the WhatsApp, where the parents actually can read and do. So one thing that we realized, the outcome was, this is like a 2 weeks activity field trip. And we realized that not all parents were involved in the field trip. Although all 20 parents got the instruction, we share them with the, why we are doing it, but the outcome was not everyone was very participative. Okay, not everyone wanted to be involved, because for some, the way, we talk about different way of teaching, right? So for some parents, it's like, why do I need to do this? Secondly is, oh, so, there is no depth into it. It's just like going for a walk and just having a brief conversation. So the experience was not very deep. And even some children came back and told us that, teacher, I tried telling my parents to bring me out, but they just do not want to do it. Okay, and so there was a lot of challenges in that new practice. All right, Ms. Tan, the next slide. Okay. Now, so why, I mean, and then again, because the parents were not able to come in the class, right? So there was a lot of challenges that we faced if we were to, when we did the take home activities, right? So the parents relied a lot on the instruction that was given to them. And so we realized, and as a team, we talk about it, say, how come the result wasn't so good? So we all realized that there were some challenges, and we talk about it as a team. First thing is we realized that the parents could be multitasking, right? So we have to remember that the parents who are at home, they are not, they are working, they are working, right? So they are doing a lot of multitask, a lot of roles. So that could have that could have caused them to be a little stressed or overburdened with all this work coming in. The third question is, the second thing is, and also for the teacher, I will also want to mention that the parents were not just multitasking, but I think the teachers were also doing it. We were, all of a sudden, we were bombarded with so much of work because we had this, we have to find a way to get those parents who were not involved to be active. And it requires a lot of effort from the teachers. Okay, so we also were like, we had to stay back, beyond our working hours just to catch that parents, and to have a conversation, to ask what is happening to the activities, do you have any problem, all right? So it requires a lot of effort from the teachers. The second thing is, we thought, sometimes we also felt a bit we don't feel so motivated too. So we always say, oh, if there was no virus, if the parents could just come in at the class and they can make that, if we could just make that connection, the field trip, and what we're trying to get them to do, and we're able to apply it or able to explain it so well, because they can see it happening in the class, and they can make they can find the purpose of doing it. Then we could do a lot of things if there was no academic, right? Now the third question is how to motivate parents. Now I just thought about this. I found a way actually how to motivate these parents. I think there should be a step involved where you want to get parents to be involved in any take-home activities, right? um, I think the step should be, number one, when you do your instruction, all right, you should, so that is before the activities, that should be during the activities, and after the activities. So we should engage the parents in these three stages. So the before the activities is basically telling the parents, what is the purpose of the activities, okay? And from there, we could actually already identify those parents who need certain help, right? So you have to set some time to have one-to-one or face-to-face conversation. Now, this can be done by WebEx, you can use Zoom, you could use any other digital platform to have that face-to-face conversation, telling them why we are doing this program, how does it benefit. So the instruction, the written instruction is not enough. You still need to have that face-to-face conversation. Now, after that, the second stage is when the actual field trip is in process. Okay, so that part is the most important part. So how do we motivate the parents to say, hey, do it, you're doing well. Are there any challenges that you're facing? We are there to help you. This can be done through, again, use all these platforms available. Set a time and say, look, parents, I really want to support you. I know you're doing you're doing this activity with your child. Okay, this is the time. Let's talk about it, and how, let's talk about how is it benefiting your child. All right. And the third step is after the completion of the activities, in a normal practice, we would have a project closure, right? So now that is not possible. So how could we do that in the new normal? Is basically have a Zoom session with all these parents coming up, right? So parents could just appear on a Zoom and we could have a closure. And I thought, wow, that, I was just thinking of it. I said, oh yeah, that is one way we could motivate the parents, to have this face-to-face conversation with them. And that's how we could do our project closure. All right. And the last thing is we also talk about, how are we going to conduct workshop? All right. So based how, so conducting workshops, we got to think, okay, there will be one workshop that Creative O or the K1 teachers will be doing is on the social emotional behavior of children. And these are some of the questions that we need to ask because we are going to use, digital app, right? We're going to use Zoom. So Zoom, we've got to ask ourselves, if you want to talk about parents' engagement, and we really have to think about which parents are going to have a conversation with each other. So when we allocate parents to have discussion, we got to think, okay, let's think about which parents will go to room 1, which parents will go to room 2. So we have to do all this planning. And the other thing is, what are the appropriate content that we want to talk about? So the one thing that I realized that, when we are doing things in a digital platform, it really requires a lot of planning. Yeah. The next slide, Mister. Okay. Now I will just describe you briefly. When we talk about getting parents involved in a project, I had my Chinese teacher. She actually found a way to engage children, to allow children to think of ways how they want to share what they have learned to their parents. Okay, so the parent, like what I've said, we have a problem, we wanted to engage the parents to do something that is nearby to their house, that is easy to do. Okay, that is something that I have already talked about. Now the children, we have to believe that the children are very good in technology, right? We all agree. So using that strength of them, we asked the children, okay, now you know how to use all this technology. Could you find a way? Can you think about how you want to use this technology to share what you have learned with the parents, to your parents? So the teacher, I know the kids say, okay, teacher, I could use letter writing. Many of us forget about letter writing, right? So the kids say letter writing supported by photographs. And then, they even use simple apps to capture their learning process, which Miss Tan will show you the pictures. Right, so if you see this child, he is taking a video of another child doing an activities, right? And they know the purpose of why they are doing it. The purpose is to share with my parents what kind of activities we are doing in our class. All right, the next one is done. All right, this is letter writing. Now, when we talk about, remember in the first slide, I talked about, children, e-learning can be very remote learning. Now, we already encourage children to do this peer learning. So the children had the chance to actually post letters to their friends. Basically, the letters basically have a little write-up about their corner play. So the parents will receive a letter, and in that letter, it actually describes, the type of play that they do in the class. Next slide is done. Yeah, if you can see that, the kids are really working on it. So they are, pasting stamps, and They're all ready to go to the post box and slot in the letters, right? And if you talk about um, parental involvement, this is really a one very meaningful activities that they can do. The next slide, Nisa. Okay, now I would like to end by getting you to reflect on this. Now, some of the again, I think I've repeated this, but I would like you to think about and if you're doing when the parents cannot come in the class, right? That basically will create opportunity for some parents to just take a hands up, like, okay, I'm not going to do anything. Second thing is, how much do we want to push the parents? Do we really want to push the parents to be involved, or do we kind of just understand where they are coming from, right? And support them meaningfully. That means really ask yourself why the parents are not involved, and why and how we could help those parents. So instead of getting the parents to work to, like, let me give you two examples, right? You have parents engagement and home and school partnership, right? So for me, parents engagement could be, I'm getting the parents to do something. Now, home and school partnership could be, that should be two-way conversation. So a parents and the teacher could be having a conversation to talk about the child's behavior, could be talking about a common goal that you and the parents want to achieve. So we got to ask ourselves, are there a balance of both? Are there a lot of task oriented activities where parents all of a sudden become a teacher to the child, which they are not ready or they do not have the skill? So we got to ask, and we have to come to a balance. Means there's enough of parents engagement where parents help the child to engage to do certain activities. There should be a balance of a very strong parents and school partnership where there are conversation happening. All right. So this is something to think about, right? And the last thing is, what are the needs of parents at the current situation? In this current situation, what do you think parents need? I really think that parents really need that conversation. They do not want a lot of work activities. I think they just need someone to go out there and have a conversation and to tell them what is happening to their child in the class. So the teacher should be the one making that meaningful connection of what's happening. So they want the conversation, because why I say that, each time I go out of my classroom, when the parents see me, they will just want to talk and talk and talk and talk, right? So I think we got to think of, are we doing more of that task oriented, so that, and we're not doing enough of that talking. And the last thing I would like to round it off by saying that, recognize the limitation when you're using digital technology. Now, we all know that young children, they learn best through hands-on experience, right? The first-hand experience. No amount of digital technology should replace that. And the second thing is, when in the current situation, when we want to, get parents to be involved something, we got to think about all that process that I talk about, like the before and the during implementation and the after implementation. Whatever you do, you have to make sure that you follow that 3 steps. And yeah, that's all. I wish that some of you could actually able to identify what I've talked about. So if you have anything to share, you can actually just tap in on your chat box.
Yeah, so I think our sharing of the home preschool collaboration will end here, and we hope to take some questions or feedback or sharing from the participation. And for those who are interested in our book, you may write email to us or call the office at this number. Now, if I may just hear from Ivy, the organizer, whether there are any questions there for us, because I don't know how to go to find the chat box.
Yeah, so far there's no questions,
Mm,
only a comments.
yes,
Uh,
please
like
tell us.
it's just like during the CVP, parents were with us on online learning. Parents witness how we engage the children in the process of learning. Yeah, there's a comment
Yeah.
from Christine.
Mm-hmm.
The rest, I think, so far there's no questions.
Yeah. Mm. Okay, so I do not know how many are there out there on the Facebook, um, because I can only see three of us here. Mhm. Yes. Mm,
15 to 16, around 15, 16. Yeah.
yeah. Okay. So unless there are some more,
Okay, there's one more questions on what are your views on parents as resource.
mm,
This is parents as resource.
yeah. So
I think
Gayatri, you want to?
I
Yeah.
think parents has rich resource. They have a lot of resource, right? It's just that we must know. Firstly, we need to be respectful whether parents really want to share those resources or not, because some parents might not want to, right? So and somehow, for me as a teacher, I would actually look at the strength and whether the parents are very comfortable. And if I get the parents to come in the class to talk about thing, I will actually ask him, are you comfortable? And I will guide the parents through. Yeah, but resource, you can actually always go to the parents. Yeah.
Yeah. So no more comments and no more sharing from the participants.
No.
Mm, okay. Um, yeah. Next week, I think we have the last session, which is about the character building. Uh, yeah. So we are simply sharing the practices in Creative O. How do we go about working with the children and parents in helping the children's uh, develop the character building. So we hope to share our practices and examples. And we also hope to hear from participants their practices and example as well. Yeah. Uh, so on that note, maybe I will pass the time over to Ivy, the organizer.
Thanks for joining us. Have a good evening, and we'll see you next week.